Let me ask you something nobody ever asked you in school. What happens to your faith when your history is edited, your kings are erased, and your story is shrunk to make you look small? Hold up a history textbook, flip it open, show the empty space where Africa should be dominant. Every nation has a story, but not every nation gets to keep theirs. For centuries, Africa was spoken about but not spoken from. Our kings were buried, our queens were renamed, and our empires were pushed out of the frame. And here is the question most people never think about. What does that do to your faith? Faith is not just belief in God, faith is belief in who God made you to be. So when your history is erased, your faith is weakened at the root. You start seeing yourself through someone else's lens, someone else's map, someone else's measurements. Think about this. When conquerors defeated the Kushite kings along the Nile, they didn't just remove them from power. They smashed their statues, they buried their images in pits. They chiseled their names off stone. Why? Because if you erase the image of a people, you can erase their confidence. And if you erase their confidence, you can shape their faith. Now fast forward. The colonial era picks up the story and repeats the pattern. The textbooks skip Africa's empires. The museums highlight Egypt but ignore Nubia. The map shrinks Africa but enlarges Europe. All of this creates a picture of the world that quietly teaches Africa is less. And when you hear that message long enough, you begin to believe your culture doesn't matter. Your past doesn't matter. Your faith must always come from somewhere else. But here is the truth. God has never once needed someone else's approval to give a people dignity. God does not shrink continents. God does not shrink cultures. Humans do. So what happens to a people's faith when their kings are erased? Their imagination shrinks. Their confidence becomes fragile. Their prayer life becomes timid. They see their story as a footnote instead of a foundation. And that is exactly why the recovery of African history matters for our faith. This is not about pride. It is about healing the root. When you discover that Africa had empires, universities, libraries, trade routes, and theological debates long before Europe even stabilized, something wakes up inside you. You stop walking with your shoulders low. You stop apologizing for existing. You start seeing God's hand in your ancestry. When you learn that Christian theology was shaped in North Africa by Africans like Athanasius, Augustine, Origen, and the Desert Fathers, your faith stops feeling like an imported product.